A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our panelists. Artificial intelligence certainly is something that is influencing our lives and will continue to do so. And we've got a deep insight into what artificial intelligence is doing with our daily lives and can do in the near future. We will, of course, keep talking about important conversations that are lined up ahead. In fact, we have among us the Ambassador of Israel to India, His Excellency Mr. Reuven Azar. Sir, give me a moment. And I have my colleague Siddhant Sibal also, who will join us on stage in a short while from now. This is a conversation, ladies and gentlemen, that you wouldn't want to miss. Mr. Reuven Azar is somebody who's been the voice of Israel here in India, explaining the Israeli perspective on different geopolitical and geo-economic issues of our times. It's not just, Israel that is grappling with these challenges. It is all of us. The entire world is grappling with the ripple effects of the conflict. All right, let's welcome on stage His Excellency Mr. Reuven Azar. Siddhant, please take this conversation forward. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the Israeli Ambassador to India. Welcome, sir.
Well, the West Asia war is something that we have all been discussing since morning. It has had a major impact, not only in the West Asian region, but also in terms of its ripple effect, the cascading impact, especially when it comes to the food prices, the fuel prices, and of course, something we have seen in the past when it comes to the Ukraine war. But with me is the Israeli ambassador. So welcome to WION. It's a pleasure to have you here at the WION Summit. And my first question, something that we all want to ask you is, when will this war come to an end?
Well, it's a good question. I think that we have said at the outset that this might take a few weeks. We are pretty advanced when it comes to fulfilling our military targets. We started with hitting pretty hard the leadership and also the missile and industrial capability of the Iranian regime. We went on to hit the Basij, as you saw yesterday, and we attacked again the leadership of the regime. What we want to achieve is to remove two existential threats that were looming on our country and our region. That's the military nuclear program and the ballistic missile program. That the Iranians were planning to dig very deep into a mountain and make it immune to either our or American attack. So because of the fact that this regime has been threatening us for so many decades and has sworn to destroy the state of Israel, we found ourselves in this situation that we had no choice but to take action. Now we know this has repercussions, but we believe that the repercussions that we are undergoing now are nothing compared to the repercussions that we would have faced, both Israel, the region, and the world, if this rogue regime would have achieved its goal of creating an arsenal of nuclear weapons, of having tens of thousands of ballistic missiles and being able to launch hundreds of thousands of drones against their so-called friends in the Gulf and other potential adversaries. So we are, by defending ourselves, we are making not only ourselves safer, but I think we are making the entire region safer. And we are opening the gates in the future, and I hope the near future, to go back to normal life and to engage in the very important activities that are essential for keeping the lives of more than 10 million Indians that live in the Gulf, and also the projects that the Indian government wants to advance with the West Asia.
Is there any fatigue when it comes to this war? Because when it started way back on 28th February, there was a sense that it is just a weekend war, it will get over. Then there was a strong Iranian response. We have seen that globally it's just US and Israel that is essentially part of this war. Europe clearly has said that this is not their war. And the Strait of Hormuz it looks like is shut. So is there a sense that this is a long-drawn battle, long-drawn war, and it is causing fatigue both in Israel and in US? We have seen the resignation as well of a top Trump official.
Well, first of all, I believe we have the oxygen to continue with this for more weeks. We have stated that very clearly in terms of our capability to continue working on the targets, our capability to defend ourselves. You know, the European response, I think, was a pretty mixed baggage. On the one hand, they are pretty happy that we are removing this threat. On the other hand, they are sort of sensitive to the repercussions. They have some political complications, especially in some of the countries, that are making them not to be very decisive when it goes to supporting their American allies. I think this is going to have repercussions because President Trump is not very satisfied with this kind of weak response coming out from Europe. But I think that you didn't mention the Gulf countries themselves. I think that the Gulf countries are very keen to see Israel, the United States, succeeding in this effort, because they were among the main victims of this kind of Iranian aggression that started not now, but more than 2 decades ago, when they started toppling and taking one Arab capital after the other. The fact that in the United States there is some conflict of, or let's say, some people that are not satisfied. I think that, you know, by fairly looking at the numbers, you could see that the MAGA constituency supports this operation about 90%, and that this gentleman decided to resign wasn't having positions that are conducive to the positions of the president for a long time. So I think that all in all, we are sort of maintaining the course. I think that this war will end when we exhaust our military capabilities. We will at least leave this regime debilitated significantly. We might get more of that, but we don't want to, you know, exaggerate with expectations. We have stated that beyond these two existential threats we want to remove, it is very important to open the way for the Iranian people to embrace their future. That means that we're going to debilitate this terrible mechanisms of oppression within the Iranian regime that have been killing thousands and thousands of innocent civilians. Yesterday, fortunately, we took out the entire command of the Basij people that were in charge, directly in charge, of managing this mechanism of oppression and killing tens of thousands of Iranian civilians, including the head that was giving the orders, that was Ali Larijani. So I think that this gives hope to the Iranian people. I don't know if it will result in a change in the regime or regime change. We do not intend to actively, operationally topple the regime, because we are not going to invade Iran. I don't think the United States is going to invade Iran either. But I think that we have quite a good prospect of promoting stability and freeing us from this threat.
Invade means no boots on the ground, if I correctly understand that.
Well, I think that the leaders of our countries have stated very particularly that we might have, you know, special forces working here or there, or the United States might decide that they want to take this place or another installation, but we don't know yet. We have to see how the operation goes on. I don't have the details of that.
How do you see India's role? We saw the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, he was in Israel, but India has good relationship with Iran as well. 3 Indian vessels have been able to come to Indian shores via the Strait of Hormuz. Do you see an Indian role, and how do you see India having conversation with Iran to get these important vessels to India?
Well, I'm sure that the Indian government is doing what is good for India. I was happy to see that these Iranian ships were neutralized and no longer can pose a threat either on us, the Americans, or other forces. At the end of the day, I think people have to look at the long term. Despite the repercussions we're seeing now, I see a future in which, as a result of the critical debilitation of this regime, India will be able to engage in projects of connectivity in the region, will be able to enjoy an atmosphere of investment, of economic projects of prosperity that are so essential, especially since India has signed all these trade agreements with the major blocs. And we're going to see trillions of dollars of merchandise starting moving east and west. So to a certain extent, the prosperity and the stability of West Asia are crucial for the success of the continued rise of the Indian economy at the world stage.
So you made, you mentioned about the connectivity projects. Now, how do you see IMAC going forward? Because it has been languishing for some time now. It might be working towards the UAE-India corridor, but now it looks like that corridor will also take time because of the ongoing war. Do you see excessive delay when it comes to the IMAC corridor?
Well, first of all, we have to put it in context. You know, at the end of the day, merchandise is going to move irrespective of whether we have IMAC or we don't have IMAC. The whole idea there was to create an alternative corridor, a complementary corridor that actually would not only move merchandise, but also engage the biggest three economies of the Gulf, that's the UAE, that's Saudi Arabia and Israel, in a kind of a membrane of and a network of economic activity, of production, of communication, of energy, of renewable energy, etc. So the potential is there. I'm sure that if we would have allowed the Iranians to the Iranian regime to pursue their quest of creating a military nuclear arsenal and having all these weapons at their hand, the prospects of prosperity in the Gulf would be slim, and the future of more than 10 million Indians that are living there wouldn't be a very rosy future. So I think that we have the prospect of achieving that. We have to intensify our coordination under the umbrella of CENTCOM with our Arab neighbors. We are already doing that. We are defending the skies of the Middle East together. And I'm sure that once the flames wane down, we will be able to engage also in networks of economic and political cooperation because it's a common interest.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION here at our summit. I know you're a very busy person with this ongoing war that is happening, but thank you so much, sir, for coming here and gracing this summit. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sidan. Thank you very much.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite CEO Z Media Corporation Limited, Mr. Reuven Das, to please extend our token of appreciation and gratitude to Ambassador Azar. An insightful conversation about the Israeli perspective of what has been going on in West Asia, as well as, of course, the Israel-India relationship, extremely significant. It's only strengthening by the day.